Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we'd do a little get ready with me. I've got some like autumnal palettes I want to use, so I pulled out the Shroud Cosmetics Arcana palette because you guys seem to really enjoy my last kind of autumny look. And then I have got some of these beautiful shimmery shades from Micka Beauty, so I thought we'd possibly use one of these today. Just thought we'd do something chatty today. As you can see, I've had my mop chopped and I've re-dyed it. This is Good Day Young's Ex-Party Girl. I absolutely love this colour. It looks amazing. It's like an actual highlighter and I'm in love. No caffeine today for a change. I've not been feeling so great, so we're off caffeine for now, just to let my stomach do its thing. We love a chronic illness queen, so we're just sticking to some squash today. So I pulled this one out. I think I used it a couple of times last winter, but I've definitely not used it as much as I want to. So I thought we'd do something with this today. As far as I'm aware, this is still available. I say that and I'm not 1000% sure, so yeah. But I love Shroud Cosmetics formula. It's a really great formula. So we're first going to start off with the shade Entity, which is this kind of mustardy brown shade. I think this palette is so interesting. It's not anything like the kind of normal autumnal palettes that you see. It's a bit kind of murky and grungy, and I really, really like that. We've actually got clean brushes today, although this one doesn't look clean, it's just very stained. So we're just going to pop that shade through the crease, just as a transition shade to give us something to blend into, and we're going to make sure that's nice and blown out there. So we're going for a bit more of a rounded shape. I did a halo eye in my last look, so I thought we'd do something really like smoky today. And then maybe do one of these gorgeous shimmers in the inner corner as like a pop. So the next shade I'm going to take is Alter. This is like a very, very, very warm brown. I use the same brush and I'm just going to pop this underneath where we've put Entity, to really start to smoke out that crease, make sure it's really, 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 really deep and dark. I've said this before in my videos, but for me, smoky eyes are most definitely about building and blending and building and blending. So I'm going to take a clean blending brush. This is a Morphe M332. We're going back into Entity and we're going to blend this with this one. And then we're going to go back in with the other brush and we're going to build up some more. Like this, in terms of a smoky eye, this works no matter what colours you're using. If you want to do something crazy like a blue smoky eye, if you want to go full black smoky eye, this technique works every time because it is just the perfect way to make sure you don't go too heavy and end up looking a little bit like you've got a bruise, which is not the aim of today. We are not aiming for bruised. We are aiming for like autumnal smoky glam. Not something I would suggest doing when you're on sort of a time crunch. It's more like I've got 5 hours to get ready, let's do a very smoky eye kind of vibe. Just keep going back in with Entity on that clean brush, making sure it's really smoked out. We're just taking a tiny little dab of product, nothing that's going to leave too much colour there, but just something that's going to kind of transition it into our skin tone. Okay, so we're ready for the next shade. So for this one, we're going to go for a bit of a smaller brush. This is a Katie Jane Hughes in Spectrum number 17. I'm going to start off with Relic, which is a more cool toned brown. That's what I like with this palette. You've got kind of half a very warm side, half a very cool toned side. So I think you get a really great variation of looks, but for this kind of look, this Relic shade just gives it a really kind of grungy, sort of slightly grey purple twist against all that warmth. And I think it's really, really, really beneficial to the finished look to have that kind of depth in the socket. It creates that kind of shadow. So we're just taking this on the small brush and we're really, really building this up in the kind of immediate crease. So we're not blowing this out at all. We're really, really focusing it on that small area. And then what we're going to do once we've done this is we're going to go back again to our middle brush and we're going to go back in with Alter, our middle shade, and we're going to slightly buff that out. We're going to again go back in with our cleanest brush using Entity and just finishing the kind of buffing process. You want to do little circular motions, bit of windscreen wiper action, anything that kind of is your comfortable way of blending. The thing is with the smoky eye is you can adapt it so that it sort of suits you how you want to do it. Then for the lid, I think we're going to go in with Sacred. So this is a very, very deep, warm brown. I'm just going to find... These kind of brushes are my favourite for packing on your smoky eye colour. So this is a Katie Jane Hughes 18, which I've just dropped on the floor. I also really, really love the Luxe Smoky Shader from Zoeva for this same thing. We've retrieved it. So we're going to take that Sacred shade and we're going to start packing this on. I always start on the lash line and I really buff this in. You're probably going to get fallout because you're obviously buffing in like a really dark shade to your lash line. But personally, I find if you don't do this, then the whole, you tend to get like little patches that haven't got any pigment in. Whereas if you kind of buff it into the lower lash line, it's obviously packed on, if that makes sense. So we're literally just working this into there. And then because with this palette, I like to play on the cool tones and the warm tones, we're going to go back in with Relic, which is that very grey brown. And I'm going to press this onto the outside of my lid to mix with that Sacred shade, so you get almost kind of like a deep purpley shade. And it just gives the lid a little bit of dimension. As much as like it looks nice when you just put Sacred on the lid, I feel like doing this just elevates it a little bit. And we are going to work a tiny bit of that shade as well along the lash line, so that Sacred is kind of more of like a pop of that warm tone on the middle of the lid. So just packing a bit more Sacred on, pack on as much until you're happy with the depth. And then we're going to go back to our Entity brush. So our lightest shade brush, we're taking a little bit of that, tap it off, and we're going to work it round again. Now, for me, this is the reason that I'm a eyes before my face kind of girl. I'm just going to take a little bit of Relic and just work that into that kind of final blend, just to give it a bit more of that kind of cool toned hue. Then we're going to take a little cotton bud and some micellar water, and we're just going to clean up under the eye. And very often I find it ends up in like this bit of my nose. Somehow, I don't know how, must be the way I blend. I am just going to take a very little brush. This is Lorac LP16, which again is clean. And we're going to take Entity, and I just want to work that into the inner corner just to blend that out, because I find very often I don't get that bit with my transition shade, so I like to do that just to make sure it's all cohesive. And it also, if you're a regular watcher, you know I like to kind of drag my inner corner up to my shadow, so that makes that job just a little bit easier. Okay. Right, okay, so that's the kind of basis that we're working with. You could do anything now. You could pop something on the middle of the lid. You could do a bit of like cut creasing with the cut carver from Plouise. You could do a bit of graphic liner, but I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to pop on some foundation. And I'm going to use the Bare Minerals Bare Pro foundation. This one is really, really lovely. I actually think Bare Minerals liquid foundations are incredibly underrated. I just hate the fact that this one's pump is broken. But yeah, in my eyes, Bare Minerals liquid foundations are very underrated. This one is quite liquidy, which is not ideal when your pump is broken and you have to do this. But there you go. We'll do that in a second. So just going to pop a bit of this on. I know some people like to do like a high coverage with a smoky eye, but for me, I still enjoy a smoky eye with like a lighter coverage. This, I would say, is like a sheer kind of medium to light. It's not quite light coverage, but it's definitely like a sheer medium, if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head anyway. Great if you are dry skinned because it sits really beautifully on dry skin. So I use it a lot in the winter. Dokey. Did I accidentally catch my lid then? Yeah, I did. So I'm just gonna put that back on. Concealer wise, I'm gonna pop on a little bit of the Instant Concealer from Clarins. No one ever talks about this. I don't understand why, because I would probably go as far to say it's my favourite concealer ever. I've probably repurchased it maybe 3-4 times just to get to my nails done next Saturday. So we're currently working with no nails because my last appointment I had to cancel because something came up and I was very upset. But it does mean that we can get our concealer a little closer under the eyes. And then I'm going to use the tip of my sponge just to blend that in. I mean, this base combo is so gorgeous, so kind of hydrating, glowy, natural skin looking. If you don't like a full coverage, these two paired together are just gorgeous. And then I'm going to do a tiny little bit of powder. And in fact, I'm actually going to use my Lorac LP13. I normally use this when I want a really light dose of highlighter, but it also works great for powder. And because it's clean, I can do what I want with it. So I'm literally taking this brush right at the end and literally dusting so lightly just to set that concealer, because I'm really vibing with this kind of glowy moment we've got going on. Let's do some blush. This is Plouise Raspberry Ribbon, which is essentially, as the name suggests, a raspberry colour. Let's just get some squeezed out. I always am scared of these because I saw... what's that Australian TikToker called? I'm so sorry, I can't remember her name because I'm a terrible person. But anyway, I saw her get a new Plouise blush and squeeze it too hard and it exploded everywhere. So now I'm like terrified of it. So I've just put a little bit on the back of my hand and I'm using a Katie Jane Hughes and Spectrum number 2 because I like this because I can really like target my blush placement. And this is just a really beautiful winter shade in my eyes. It's that perfect kind of colour that your cheeks actually go. Or for me at least. But I am certified Casper the Ghost, so not everybody might go this dark. Okay. So we've got the blush down. Let's wipe this off of my hand before I touch my top with it. because once again I've worn light colours to film in like a fool. Right, okay, we're going to go in with one of these Micka Beauty shades. I'm going to have to swatch these all for you because they are gorgeous. So I want that one. This one is literally Purple Hollow, which is incredible. This one, which I think is what I will use today. They're so gorgeous. They are very, very, very light though. Like the shadows are lightly pressed. When they came, obviously, because Micka Beauty is a Polish brand. I think there was one of them that made it without smashing a little bit, even though they've put like all the security protectors on and everything you would need. Unfortunately, I think they're just so delicate that unfortunately it didn't do much for them. So the shades we've got are, so the first one is Lucky, the hollow one is called Cyber, the one I'm going to use today is Opera, and then the greeny pink is Fairy's Wings. Use a teeny tiny brush and I'm going to use Opera, and we're going to put that in the inner corner. Kind of like, it's like gold, it's like blue, it's like pink, it's got a bit of green to it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I feel like if you sprayed this one, it would be so vibrant. So we've just packed that on the inner corner there. I'm absolutely covered in sparkles now. And we're going to take Entity on our little small number 11. We're going to run this along the lash line. Doesn't matter if there's leftover Sacred on this brush because we are going to build up with that. So Entity's on, a little bit of Sacred, bringing that right up to the shimmer because I just love the way that looks. I feel like, to me, just makes it look so more cohesive when it's like a full circle, if that makes sense. Doing exactly the same thing on this side. Okay, and now we've got a foundation on. I'm going to take the first brush we used, the Morphe He Who Shall Not Be Named one, and we're going to really, 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 really blend this out now. Now we've got kind of a base down to blend into. Right down and around. For me, I like to take my under eye kind of smokiness quite far down. It's not for everyone, but personally that's the way I prefer it when I've got a smoky eye going on. So I always like to take a big brush and something lighter just to give us that perfect smoked out look. Alright, I'm not actually going to do bronzer today, I don't think. We're going to do a bit of highlighter. Let's go with this one, it's a bit more peach. This is Playmate from Give Me Glow. These highlighters are insanity, like absolute. I mean, they could be single eyeshadows without a doubt. They are so blinding. So we're going to go back in with that Lorac LP13 and we're just going to do a really light dusting of this. So I'm going to dab as much off my brush as I can. Can't actually see where I put it now. There we go. And I just love this one combined with Raspberry Ribbon. It just seems to have the same kind of tone. And I love the fact that the colourful highlighters from Give Me Glow don't look too colourful on the skin, if that makes sense. They've got that kind of pearl, but the base is kind of that skin tone shade. So they work. Let's do a little bit of something in the brows. This is just Anastasia Brow Wiz. I'm just going to drag that out a little bit. If you are a regular, you will know while doing my plane in my face, I accidentally shaved the end of my eyebrow off. So we're just kind of drawing that back on. Did shave the other one to match, but this one's growing back a lot quicker, typically. But let's face it, my brows are not sisters, not twins, they're long lost cousins. And all I can say is thank God for the fringe. Okay, let's do a little bit of a lash. We're going to go in with Dose of Lashes 420s because I'm obsessed with these at the moment. They're gorgeous. And we're going to use Rachel Leary and Unicorn Cosmetics glue as always. Right, okay, lashes are on. I am back. Let's do a lip. We're going to go with an old classic today. I don't know whether any of you will recognise this packaging, but Revlon Black Cherry is one I pull out every autumn. And we're going to line with Juvias Place Scorpio. I feel like this lipstick is just not talked about enough. It's one of those products that has been around for such a long time. Everybody kind of older owns it already. But I feel like with so many people like always joining the beauty community and like younger people getting into makeup, I feel like it's one I needed to mention. And I love it with that Scorpio liner because it gives just ever such a slightly ombre lip. So that is that. If you don't already own this, you need to go and get it because it's gorgeous and just the perfect autumnal winter shade if you're not into reds. Let's just pop a tiny bit of mascara on my bottom lashes. And we are done. I do hope you did enjoy this video. If you love a smoky eye, let me know in the comments. I love the fact I've dyed my hair literally one of the brightest shades it's ever been. I was like, let's do a smoky eye and a dark lip. Welcome to my brain. I do hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe. And if you want to make sure you never miss another video, hit the bell icon and YouTube will notify you next time I post. You've been fabulous. I've been Coleoftheball and I'll see you next time. Bye.